Here is a lovely story with a moral. It is about a girl who drew something and someone made fun of her drawing. It's interesting to see how the story progresses. So, do watch this video. I'm Malene from English Made Easy. I'm an English teacher, and this channel is dedicated to creating easy and interesting lessons so that you can improve your English in an enjoyable way. You can learn English with a story. Today's story is called Art is for Everyone. Follow the story on the screen while I read it to you, and you will improve your reading, pronunciation, spelling, vocabulary, and comprehension skills. At the end of the lesson, I have some questions for you to answer. Shall we begin? But first, tell me, have you subscribed to English Made Easy yet? If you haven't, then please do so right now before we begin. Thank you. By subscribing, you will receive notifications each time I post new content. Art is for everyone, part 1. So, I'm going to read this part of the lesson to you. Please pay careful attention. Once upon a time, on the island of Medibemps, Margaret came home from school with a drawing in her hand and very big tears in her eyes. So Margaret returned from school. She had a drawing in her hand and she was crying. She had drawn a picture of Tippity Witchet's house and a boy had made fun of it. So why was Margaret crying? She was crying because she had drawn a picture of Tippity Witchet's house and someone, a boy at school, had made fun of her drawing. He said it was awful. He said I would never be an artist. She made a very sad face. I'm sorry, Margaret, said her mother. He is wrong. This is a good drawing. You will say that. You're my mother, sniffed Margaret. So what happened? The boy in school had told Margaret that the drawing was terrible, awful, and that she would never be an artist. That made Margaret very sad. Of course, her mother said that the boy was wrong. She said that it was a good drawing. And Margaret kept crying and said, no, you are my mother. Because you're my mother, you will think that everything I do is lovely. Maybe it's not true. But it is good, Margaret, said her mother. Why don't we show it to Tippity Witchet and see what she thinks? So the mother said, see, I have an idea. If you think that I am just saying things to you without meaning it, you know that your drawing is a good one, then why don't we go to Tippity Witchet's house, show her the drawing, and see what she thinks of it? Let's see if Tippity Witchet thinks that your drawing is a good one or not. Margaret and her mother rode their bicycles to Tippity's house to show her the drawing. Tippity Witchet looked at the picture and smiled her biggest smile. What a lovely drawing, Margaret. You are a fine artist. Margaret felt a little better. It's a picture of your house, she said. A boy at school said it was awful. Stuff and nonsense, said Tippity. Art is art. We all see things in different ways, and we all find our own ways to show people what we see. I see my house and I like the way. I'll stop there. So Margaret and her mother went to Tippity's house to show her the drawing. How did they go there? They rode their bicycles. Tippity Witchet looked at the picture that Margaret had drawn and she smiled. She smiled her biggest smile. She smiled broadly and she said, wow, Margaret, you are a great artist. This drawing is so beautiful. And that made Margaret feel better because it was not just her mother who was praising her and saying that her drawing was good. Now it was someone else who was also saying the same thing. Tippity was also saying that her drawing was good. So she felt a little better. It's a picture of your house, she said. A boy at school said it was awful. So she told Tippity that she had drawn a picture of Tippity's house, and a boy at school had told her that it was really terrible. Stuff and nonsense, said Tippity. What does stuff and nonsense mean? It just means that that boy spoke rubbish. All nonsense. Art is art. See what Tippity says to her. Art is art. We all see things in different ways. We all don't see the same thing in the same way. So it's how we look at something as an artist. And we all find our own ways to show people what we see. I see my house and I like the way you've drawn it. Stippity liked the drawing. With lots of practice, some people develop great skills at drawing or painting. But that doesn't mean their artwork is any better than yours. Everybody is different and art is for everybody. Hold my hand and show you what I mean. So Tippity tells Margaret, you know, these great artists who you think are great artists have actually developed their skills at drawing or painting because they have practiced a lot. But that doesn't mean that their artwork is better than yours. Everybody is different. Everybody's art is different. Everybody sees things in a different way. Hold my hand and I'll show you what I mean. They all held hands. Who held hands? Tippity Witchet, Margaret, and Margaret's mother. And Tippity waved her magic wand in the air. She knew magic. She had a magic wand, so she waved it in the air. And then what happened when she waved her magic wand in the air? In the time it takes to wink your eye, you can just blink your eye and see how long it takes to do that. About a second, a fraction of a second maybe. All three of them disappeared from Tippity's house and appeared near some fishing boats. They didn't have to ride their bicycles to get to this other place. All they did was hold Tippity Witchet's hand. She waved her magic wand in the air, and in a second or a fraction of a second, all three of them ended up at a new place. What new place? Near some fishing boats. Now, what did they see there when they landed at that place near the fishing boats? Here they found a man sitting on a little bench. He was drawing a picture of two fishermen who were working on their boat. So, what was the man doing? He was sitting on a bench and he was drawing a picture of two fishermen who were working on their boat. Tippity whispered, "This is my friend, Uncle Dot. He paints lovely watercolor paintings." But Uncle Dot heard her and turned to greet them. "Hello, everybody," he said. Tippity Witchet introduced Margaret and her mother to Uncle Dot and showed him Margaret's drawing. Did you understand that part? So there was a man sitting on a little bench. Who was that man? He was Uncle Dot. And what was Uncle Dot doing? Uncle Dot was drawing a picture. He was looking at something in front of him and drawing a picture. What was he looking at? He was looking at two fishermen who were working on their boat, and he drew a picture of that. Who was Uncle Dot? Was he related to Tippity Witchet? No. He was just her friend, and he was very good at watercolor paintings. He used watercolor and did a lot of good paintings. So she was whispering because she did not want to disturb him. He was busy painting. He was concentrating on what he was doing. But Uncle Dot heard her and he turned around. And when he turned around, he said hello to everyone and Tippity Witchet introduced her friends to Uncle Dot. Who were her friends? Margaret and Margaret's mother. And then after introducing them, she showed him Margaret's drawing. We'll end there. And I have questions for you, and let's see how well you understood that part of the story. Because if you understood it well, you will get all these questions right. Let's start. The first one, Margaret had drawn a picture of Tippity Witchet's car, house, or face. House. I hope you got it right. That was an easy one. The second one, Margaret and her mother went to Tippity Witchet's house on their bicycles, in their car, or in a bus. How did they go to Tippity Witchet's house? Think. On their bicycles. The third one, when the three of them disappeared from Tippity Witchet's house, they appeared near some fishing boats, volcanoes, or submarines. I'm sure this is an easy one too. What's your answer? Fishing boats. The fourth one. There was a man sitting on a little sofa, bench, or stool. The man who was sitting by the fishing boats. What was he sitting on? Was he sitting on a sofa, a bench, or a stool? A bench. The fifth one. The man was drawing a picture of two doves, fishermen, or boats. Fishermen. And the last one, Uncle Dot was Tippity Witchet's son, friend, or uncle. Friend. I do hope you got most of them right, but actually, I would be very happy if you said that you got them all right. It was a nice, simple story, right? If there was any part of it that you did not understand, please let me know and I will explain that part to you again. If there is anything you need help with, don't hesitate. And if the lesson was good today, don't leave without hitting that like button. Share it with your friends and do watch the previous lesson from the new Mulberry Course Book 5 by Anahita Lee. It's called Black Beauty here, if you have not already done it. I hope to meet you again in the next lesson. Until then, keep reading, keep practicing. Like I said, read as much as you can because that is the best way to improve your English. Keep reading.